Hi, I'm Deborah Bowen and thank you for supporting the arts in Banyule by having a look at the fabulous work by Banyule artists in this online Liminal exhibition. I live in and have spent most of my life in Rosanna, Banyule and the surrounding areas. The studio where I create my glass pieces is a converted garage in my backyard, surrounded by fruit trees and vegetable patches, where I can be found most days around my part-time job as a secondary school teacher librarian and geography teacher. My earliest memories are of keeping my hands busy, a mantra of my mother's, who modelled and taught my siblings and I every imaginable craft ever invented. As such, I have always happily immersed myself in a creative world, be it sewing, spinning, quilting, painting, lino printing, crocheting, saw ceramics, to name just a few. After an intense period of ill health and hospitalisation, I was drawn to glass and the opportunity arose to join classes at Red Door Studio in Liminal. I loved these classes and relished the enjoyment I get from experimenting and creating regularly with a great group of glassies. My home studio has been especially important during COVID-19 as I am on immunosuppressant medication to protect my renal transplant and have rarely left my property since mid-March, teaching, shopping and socialising online and creating at home. I'm joined by my dog Lizzie, constantly opening my studio door, my cat Oliver, pretty good at knocking things over, and occasionally my chicken Nigella, who mistakes small pieces of glass for food. They are not a lot of help, but they're an excellent source of amusement and company. The two pieces available through Banyule City Council's Liminal exhibition are both created during COVID-19 lockdown and are the result of my continued exploration around the themes of texture, fragmentation and refraction. Many of my works, including these, are designed to be hung in windows to make use of the changing light throughout the day. Connection and fragmentation examines where our lives intersect, where we come together, what communities we are involved in, be it family, friends, workplaces or hobbies, and how we, at the same time, we are separate and fragmented in terms of community and feelings. The connections are sometimes solid, others less strong and fractured by the pressures and demands of modern living. We are individuals, but part of a whole. This piece is textured and nuanced like our lives. At Sea is a play on place and state of mind, evoking visual portrayal of looking up from under the sea, but also explores the confusion of life, how we feel about it and where we sit in the world at different times. Again, sometimes strong, solid and stable, and at other times disintegrating into transparency. This piece has a smooth finish like the face we are supposed to present to the world. I start my work by exploring the depth and tangents to the theme, jotting quick lists and sketches and redrafts before settling on a design which is further refined as I work. I often draw up a plan to size, but sometimes just wing it. However, both of these pieces were fairly set in my mind and on paper before I cut any glass. Many pieces of fusing glass are cut to size and shape and blue tacked above my plan, leaving various width gaps between each piece. Edges are checked and refined, pieces cleaned of blood, Sharpie and glass dust with methylated spirits, then photographed, checked and rechecked for the overall look of the work. Pieces are finally tacked into place onto a large sheet of clear fusing glass using gel glass glue. Once dry, I add various coloured frit, which is powdered or crushed fusing glass to fill the gaps, sometimes overlapping, sometimes distinct and crisp. Extra liquid glass glue is added to the frit to better keep it in place, as both of these pieces are too big for my kilns and were transported for firing elsewhere. The method used to create the pieces is the same, but the final fusing process at sea is fired to a higher temperature, leaving a smoother surface, rather than connection and fragmentation, which is textured due to the lower firing temperature. I generally work with a System 96 glass specifically made for firing in a kiln. Once fired, I clean the pieces of any residual firing dust, grind any wayward bits off the edges and frame the work up for hanging in a window. Glass is exceptionally hard to photograph, taking in the reflections, shadows, and if transparent, backgrounds. So apologies for my not quite right photographs. My style of work has varied as I've discovered and tried different techniques and by the limits of equipment availability. I've undertaken classes with and learnt from great artists including Scott Chaseling, Jackie Hutchinson, Maureen Williams, Brenda Page, Richard Parrish, Nathan Sandberg, Estelle Dean and Catherine Wardell. Techniques include kiln-formed glass, glass blowing, block Marini construction and pulling, lead light and copper foil work, screen printing, sandblasting, tapestry glass, bas relief work, casting and sculpture, glass mosaic, cane Marini and pulling, pâte de verre and bead making. I've exhibited and sold work through Montserrat Art Centre, Brunswick Street Gallery, Black Cat Gallery, the Melbourne International Flower Show, Linda New Art, The Hatch, My Ream Art Space, and through commissions and markets. I regularly create smaller pieces of glass jewellery, decoration and homewares, which I normally sell in markets. Alas, not this year. I belong and exhibit with two groups, TAM, Thou Art Mum, a long-standing local group for women artists, and MAVA, the Melbourne and Victorian Artists Group. Some examples of my work include this gingerbread house with Christmas fairy lights. A blown vase made up of 796 pieces. How block Marini becomes a blown glass vase. Improvising with occupational health and safety as I had worn thongs to the hot shop. Marini candy becomes a blown vase and keeps its internal patterns. A retro-looking optic technique and close-up shots. I copper foiled the panels in my studio side door, and others are my brothers and sisters' toilet windows to match the style of their houses. Various pieces including a pink tapestry panel, real fern fronds burnt out between the layers of glass in the kiln, a glass mosaic with kiln-formed fish, flowers, and a kiss for Diego. Finally, shots of glass working tools, lead light repairs for clients, a blown lampshade, a platter and coasters in a fragmented style, casting my foot in glass using lost wax method, my face in solid glass, and lastly, a lobster utilising layers of fibre paper. If you're interested in more detail about the processes involved or the pieces themselves, please feel free to contact me through my details. Thanks for tuning in and supporting my fellow artists and I.